Hello everyone, Space Oyster here, and welcome back to Let's Play Shadow of the Colossus. Last time, we defeated Colossus numbers 13 and 14, and today we'll be tackling 15 and getting relatively close to Colossus 16. The fights are getting a bit too long that I can't put two in one video anymore, but we've only got two more to go, so it kinda fits. Anyway, we just got this cutscene playing for the last time, and then we'll just get one. Well, no, it'll play once more after we beat Colossus number 15. So I lied. Never mind. Oh yay! We get to go to another destroyed city. Hopefully we won't be destroying it this time, but who knows. I'm kind of surprised more of the Colossi didn't have extra weak spots. Like, when I first did a hard mode attempt, I was a little surprised to see that, at first I just thought that extra weak spots are going to be the norm for every Colossus. But that's really only the case for the first part of the game. And then the second part, they really don't have too many with an extra one. I'm pretty sure that Colossus numbers 7 all the way up through 14, none of them had an extra weak spot. That's nearly half of the Colossi, no extra weak spots. Anyway, we're going to be crossing this bridge again, the one we used to get to the 12th Colossus, Thor. Although we'll actually be going to the desert, so either bridge will work. But I just went with this one because it's a bit closer to the arena, so the sword beam will show us the right direction a lot more quickly. Or the right location, anyway. Let's see. I guess like an interesting topic would have been maybe potential changes for like Breath of the Wild, since like I brought up the whole how I didn't like the breakable weapons. I really should have thought of something to replace them with, because I'm not really the biggest how to phrase that. I don't know. I can't English very well right now. Got a small headache. Basically, one lesson a teacher taught our class at one point was that you shouldn't shoot someone else's ideas down if you don't have a good replacement for them, or you should suggest something else when shooting someone else's ideas down, because otherwise you get nowhere. Case in point, U.S. politics. So I guess a different good. Yeah, something else they could have done besides the weapons that break for Breath of the Wild. Well, Joseph Anderson actually had some good solutions for that. The first was that, like, Link starts with a broken Master Sword, and that it eventually gets repaired over the course of the adventure. And each of the dungeons gives you each of those starting dungeons where you get one of those, one of the, apps for Link's iPhone. Each one of those could have given you an unbreakable version of a starting weapon. Like, one of them could have had a two-handed weapon for heavy attacks, and another could have had a spear. The last one could have had a bow. And then Link himself uses the one-handed sword. Or one-handed weapons. And then they could start off as weaker than regular weapons. And picking up other weapons from that enemies drop could be stronger than those. But of course they break, and then defeating the divine beasts replaces your permanent weapons with stronger versions. So that way you eventually don't have to worry about swapping through a whole bunch of weapons, and you don't even need to pick them up. Another idea could have just been going with that, but just having tiered weapons, so that way you're upgrading your gear as you go along, rather than just constantly picking up new stuff. And they could have encouraged weapon variety by having different weapons work well against different types of enemies. Like spears could have been good for fighting humanoid enemies like the goblins. The hammers and great swords could have been better for fighting larger enemies like Lionels and Enoxes and stuff like that. And then the one-handed swords would just be a good middle ground between those two melee weapons, allowing you to, actually use defensive stuff. Oh, that reminds me. Another thing I really didn't like about it, about Breath of the Wild, was the way blocking worked. You'd hold down the targeting button and you'd block, but it didn't really work out that well because locking on and blocking being the same button means you have to keep your shield up, and if you change targets, you have to put it down, then back up again. It worked so much better when when blocking has a different button. Anyway, I rambled on long enough, and we're here at the 15th Colossus. His semi-official name is Argus, but I'm gonna call him the Last Guardian, in a not-so-subtle reference to another Team Ico title. Also because Dorman described him as a guardian of the destroyed city. That entrance he made, picking himself up out of the ravine like that, it's actually pretty similar to the entrance an Ice Golem did in Kingdom Hearts, I think. I actually haven't played Kingdom Hearts, so I don't know from first-hand experience. Looks like it's too dark to use the sword beam here to show us his weak spots. But anyway, the evil plan is you want to lure him over to this section here and stand on the, whatever that's called, platform. He'll stomp on it to try and get you, and it'll raise it high enough so you can start climbing. From here, you want to bait his attacks to hit this part of the city. Or, well, this section of the arena. So that way we can keep climbing higher. Arrows are usually a good idea to get his attention, but you can also just whistle. Yeah, got him on the head. Come on, you know you want to hit it. They did put it in. His eyes changed green and he was gonna walk away, and now they're red because I hit him with an arrow that doesn't actually do any damage. And now they're the bluish green again. I guess they did keep it in, and I'm just not very observant. Okay, now we're gonna climb up here. It's a really good thing I'm not actually Wander, otherwise I'd be terrified. I am very scared of heights. Alright, so it looks like he's got one on his head. There's one on his arm, in the palm of his hand. And looks like they got a new one on there too, on his chest. It's probably going to be tricky to get to. The Last Guardian here is also the second of the three Colossi to have their own unique theme. Yeah, first was number 10, Mulgara. Second is number 15 here. So you lure him over, and then you jump right onto his head. Very unrealistic game. Grabbing onto something as you're falling does not remove momentum. But, I mean, how much realism were you really expecting from a game where you fight giant monsters? So we're just going to keep poking away at his head here. Fortunately, he's been very cooperative and not too wiggly. That did remind me of something about the PlayStation 3 version of this game. When they ported it from the PlayStation 2 to the PlayStation 3, they did increase the graphical quality, and that had the unintended side effect of making the Colossi a bit harder to fight. since it increased the frame rates, each Colossus would actually tend to shake more. So that would actually make it a little bit tougher if you're on time attack mode, because they'd shake more often. You'd have less opportunities to attack, and it was wildly inconvenient. I don't know if this version of the game has the same frame rate issues that the PlayStation 3 port had. So far, I haven't really noticed anything aside from the 13th Colossus, the Steps of Faith, having those shaky cam issues. This one seems to be pretty much a pretty faithful remake. Not quite on top of it. This is another progression weak spot. As I kind of spoiled earlier, the weak spot on his hand is in the palm of his hand, but he's holding a sword. So you have to stab that weak spot. And there goes Dorman with his their ever so helpful advice. But I decided to get him to drop the sword first, so that way if I do have to jump back onto him again, I don't have to risk falling. Or I don't have to worry about falling off. And then jumping back up again. But hopefully, we should be able to get to his last weak spot and take it out without having to jump back on up, because you'd have to lure him over to the thing and then stomp and then climb all over again. And he's a pretty aggressive shaker. Although, fun fact about the Last Guardian here is that he actually has the same AI programming as the first Colossus, Asterios. Like, if you just stand back and watch him, he'll move around in the same way that Asterios does. Alright, now we're here, so we just have to wait for him to stop shaking. This is definitely going to be a hard weak spot to poke at, because if we need to recover stamina, we have to climb all the way back up, rest there, and then climb back down. And he seems to be shaking very frequently from here. Another poke. Almost had it there. Almost got in another one. Would have been a small poke, though. Sweet, we got it, we got it! And just in time, too. I had no stamina. Alright, so now we need to bait an attack from him. He is right-handed, so he is going to favor swinging at us with that right hand. But it's a very, very dangerous situation because, well, he can one-shot us if he hits us. Well, just hit me already! And wait, this is the edge of the arena. This is where I came in. I don't think you can get past this point. I wonder if you can run away from each Colossus. I wonder what would happen if I did run away now. I wonder if I can... No, I can't bait him into trying to attack. So let's go ahead and run out here. Whistle to get his attention. Go ahead and just keep... There he goes! There he goes! And we get to jump right into his hand. Okay. The camera will usually try to auto-adjust itself to get into the right spot, but it's not always optimal. So the camera ends up being the only non-Colossus enemy you have to deal with throughout the whole game. That is the last Guardian net down. I forgot to mention another reason I picked the name The Last Guardian is that it also fits him thematically as well. As the 15th Colossus, he is the last one you beat before you get to fight the very last Colossus. again. And then I'm not going to take out the last Colossus on this video, but we will get to his near to his location. There is one event that plays right before that, but I'm hoping splitting up Colossus numbers 15 and 16 will make things a lot easier, because there are a lot of ending cutscenes. Plus, it allows me to make the first and last Colossus thematically similar. Although, then again, this Colossus is technically thematically similar to the first one, too, since he's also on a video all by himself. But I guess the Last Guardian does deserve a few props for that. Although he wasn't a very good Guardian. Let's see. Pace for time is short. Yeah, right. You can take as long as you want to get to the very last Colossus. It don't matter. It's a big problem in most video games, well, especially sandboxes. They give you this quest that has a sense of urgency to it, but there's really no actual urgency, because unless you actually start the quest, they're not going to give you any sort of time limit. And I guess on the way there, I can talk about something other than Breath of the Wild. Oh yeah, last little bit of trivia for Shadow of the Colossus. They actually did plan on making a live-action movie based on the game. I don't know if I already brought that up. But the live-action movie has been in development hell for years. Like, I think it was announced shortly after the initial PlayStation 2 release. And, yeah, I guess no one's really too sad about that because, well, I'm not entirely sure how well this game would translate into a movie, because the plot is completely ambiguous and its main draw is the boss rush. Two things that aren't going to exactly translate well to a movie-going audience, since the main engagement of a movie is seeing the story unfold, whereas with a video game, the main draw is not only playing it, but making the story unfold through your own actions. Odds are, if they did turn this into a movie, they'd probably give it some sort of generic romance plot, like they'd try and focus on events that happened before Wander ended up in the Forbidden Land, and give some sort of backstory to him, Mono, and Lord Eamon, and why she was sacrificed, and yada yada yada, and everyone would hate it. Because those are all factors that are left to mystery. Or up in the air, or never explained, whatever. They're left to your imagination, and a lot of people come up with a lot of different explanations for everything that happens. And if they tried to explain it, and then they focus most of the movie on that, then she dies, Wander gets her corpse and this super special awesome sword, and then comes to the Forbidden Land, then the Colossus slaying would probably be regulated to a montage. And then they'd probably just play the ending cutscene, or reenact the ending cutscene. I'm not used to traveling through this area, so... Oh, wait, no, that's another plateau. Come on, Aggro, you gotta behave, girl. Seriously, get moving. Yeah, I shouldn't have kept hitting her like that. Well, not literally hitting her, but egging her on. I should not have kept doing that. I know full well it just takes holding the button, like on Final Fantasy 15. And as you'll see here, there is a doorway that has a weird sigil in the middle. Part of the reason why you can't get to this location, and like you can get to this door but you can't go past it, is because you need this sword beam to be pointing towards the last Colossus here before you can actually open that. And we just ride on in. Now, while it would be kind of easier to climb these upcoming stairs here without aggro, do not get off of her. You need her at the top of the steps, so it's better to just keep on going with the horse. Come on, you need to go fast, aggro. There's a jump, and I can't make it on my own. Actually, I don't know. I've never tried, but we get actually a short scripted sequence here. Aggro throws us off, and she falls down. Oof, that's never not sad. Wander lost the only friend he had, and also he's stranded. But this is going to be about where I'm going to stop the video. Next time, we'll take down the very last Colossus, and this time, it's personal. He killed our horse, but not really. Thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw, please like, comment, and or subscribe. This is Spaced Oyster, signing out.